Hello for the sixth Sunday in Ordinary Time, using only the Gospel, John 14, verses 15 to 21. And I call this lovebirds. See, there's one of them right here with a candle in it. And there is my bird feeder, and there's another candle. And today we celebrate Mother's Day. And I like to call this title of this homily Lovebirds, because mothers are true lovers. Good mothers are true lovers. And I took this bird feeder down yesterday off of the gutter at my back porch, which I could see in the kitchen when I was eating breakfast or lunch or supper and so forth. And I put in its place a, 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 an acorn birdhouse about that big, great big acorn with a hole in it. And I put it in its place so I could see what I used to see with birds coming in feeding out of here. But this little acorn wooden birdhouse had a mom and dad there. And all of a sudden, when I was watching in the morning, when I moved it, there was a couple in there, two birds, a male and a female, and apparently little chicks. Because at 7 o'clock in the morning, there would be one of these chickadees, I think they were, not wrens, but chickadees. They would go and fly in there, and they'd go right in that hole. They'd stay in there for about 12 seconds, and then they'd fly out again. And then the difference, the mother or the father, I couldn't know which one was which. But at any rate, then in another minute, that one would come in. And it just happened all the time I was eating breakfast. Well, I looked up at noon eating a sandwich and so forth. And by golly, mom and dad were feeding the little kids inside still. Now, it's hard to believe. But every minute or so, after eating supper, they were doing the exact same thing. Mom and dad chickadees feeding their little babies, baby chickadees. I think that really says something, especially on Mother's Day. Well, it gets a little confusing because here you had a tag team of two people, a male bird and a female bird, and they were doing the exact same thing. But in our society, we had that too. We have the male and female doing the same thing, sort of. But in our society, the man would go out to work and the mother would have the baby and feed the baby and watch the baby and bring up the baby and discipline the baby. You know, the mothers are key in our environment, and we're like chickadees somewhat. Well, I think we all have a wonderful day, and it deals with birds. Oh no, it deals with loving mothers, the ideal mother. Who nobody has an ideal mother except maybe Jesus had Mary, but we don't count that. I mean, most of us had loving mothers, and we celebrate that day. I think it's sort of interesting. Way back in the 13th century, St. Thomas Aquinas said that mothers have a natural tendency toward virtue. That in their nature, in the way they were created in the image and likeness of God, they have a natural tendency to love, to feed the baby chickadees. Father too, but mother especially. And I think it's true. A loving mother. If you had somewhat of a loving mother, you have been blessed in your life. And I think most people had loving mothers and were blessed in their life. Not all, because today, Mother's Day, could be a hurtful day where you start to remember mom wasn't very good. Most mothers are very good. They're loving, they're caring, they put on the band-aids, they give the hugs, They discipline. They do all kinds of things that little junior or little sis grows up in the image and likeness of God. And that is a blessing if you had that. And most of us have had that somewhat. And it's worthwhile holding in high esteem and thanking our mothers for being so good to us, that have brought us or helped brought us up. I am. And I only had my mother until the 8th grade. She died of cancer when I was in the 8th grade. And let me just tell you one thing that I really have taken home to my grave about my mother. Well, one thing, she suffered a lot for over 2 years of cancer, in pain, and we never got rid of it the way we can do sort of today. And we would have to give her shots of heroin that she could deal with the pain. And she would scream out really in pain because of this cancer. And I and my other two brothers learned from the doctor to give her morphine shots when I was in the 7th and 8th grade. My other two brothers were older, but she sort of liked me, I think, because the doctor said, take that hypodermic needle and show it in and shove it in quick. The quicker you do it, the less pain she feels. And apparently I listened to the doctor and did it pretty doggone well. But she sort of liked me to give her the shot. But here's the big thing that I totally remember. When she was dying, and when she was dying in pain, when I would come and talk to her, I saw more than a little kid should see. But as far as when I came to her, she would always say, Larry, pray that Jesus comes. Pray that Jesus comes. And of course, this went on for weeks and months. But that is indebted in, indeed in my brain or in my memory or in my heart. And I know and I believe that when she died, she went to Jesus. That she is one of those holy ones in heaven. Mothers are needed. Mothers need to be appreciated. Mothers may have a good day today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all you good mothers who have done so much, leading your lives for us and doing it the way you were created in the image and likeness of God. Have a good day. Happy Mother's Day, all you good mothers.